Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive that we've got for you.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at deep tech marketing.
All right.
So how do these startups that are tackling these really complex problems actually get the word out?
Yeah. How do they find success?
Exactly. And the source material we've got is this marketing kit that we got from eSquared,
Oh, very cool.
which is a social media content agent.
Okay.
But get this, the founder, Dr. Ari Masudi, he's not your typical marketing guru.
What is it that makes him so different?
Well, he's a molecular biologist turned serial entrepreneur.
Oh, wow.
So why would a scientist create a social media agent?
Yeah, that's a good question. You'd think that they'd be more comfortable in a lab than on TikTok.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how that background influences eSquared's approach.
Yeah, me too. I think it just goes to show that even the most groundbreaking tech needs to be communicated effectively, to make a real-world impact.
For sure.
And these days, that means mastering social media.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's unpack what deep tech actually means.
Okay.
What are we talking about when we say...
So deep tech companies, they're focused on solving these really complex problems with technologies that are rooted in, significant scientific or engineering advances.
Okay.
So think things like artificial intelligence that can learn and adapt, biotechnology that's pushing the boundaries of medicine,
Right.
advanced materials that are lighter and stronger than ever before,
Yeah.
or even quantum computing that's going to revolutionize how we process information.
So we're not just talking about the next, trendy app here.
No.
These are innovations that could, fundamentally change the way we live and work.
Exactly, and that's precisely why deep tech marketing is so unique.
Okay.
You can't just rely on flashy ads or viral trends.
Got it.
You need a strategy that builds trust,
Yeah.
showcases expertise,
Okay.
and explains complex topics in a way that a broader audience can grasp.
That makes sense. Yeah. So if a company claims to have developed, say, a revolutionary new cancer treat gene edit, they need to back it up with solid science.
Of course.
And present it in a way that's both credible and understandable.
Exactly.
But wouldn't potential investors already know enough about the science to be convinced?
Right. Yeah.
Why is public perception so important in tech?
That's a great question. So while investors certainly need to be convinced,
Yeah.
a wider positive public perception can be a game changer
Okay.
for these deep tech companies. For example, think about the ethical considerations around something like gene editing.
Right.
If the public is fearful or misinformed,
Yeah.
it can lead to regulations that stifle innovation,
So public perception could impact...
funding, talent acquisition,
Wow.
and even a company's ability to operate.
Okay, wow, that's a big deal. Huge.
Yeah.
So eSquared seems to understand this challenge very well.
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
Their marketing materials emphasize a combination of knowledge plus imagination plus entrepreneurship equals innovation. Yeah. And they see their role as helping deep tech companies translate their complex expertise into compelling narratives.
Makes sense.
So it's not just about listing the technical specs,
Really?
It's about crafting a story that captures the imagination and connects on a human level.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another important point.
Okay.
The eSquared makes deep tech companies. They often struggle to explain their work in a way that resonates with people outside of their specific field.
Okay, so think about it. You're trying to explain cutting-edge research on, say, quantum computing to someone who barely understands how their smartphone works.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big communication gap to bridge.
Huge.
It seems like eSquared is almost acting as a translator,
I like that analogy.
helping these deep tech companies speak a language that everyone can understand.
Yeah, they need to make the complex accessible, the innovative relatable, and the revolutionary understandable.
So how do they actually do that?
Yeah.
What are some of the concrete strategies that eSquared uses to achieve this?
So one of their core offerings is what they call the Executive Thought Leadership Program, which focuses on positioning the startup's leaders as experts in their field.
Okay, so it's about highlighting the people behind the technology, not just the technology itself.
Exactly.
Okay, but wouldn't that come off as self-promotion?
Well-
How do they make sure it's authentic and engaging?
That's where eSquared's unique approach comes in.
Okay,
So they might ghostwrite articles for the leaders to be published in industry publications,
right.
secure speaking engagements at conferences, or create high-quality video content that showcases their knowledge and vision.
Yeah.
It's about making them the face of the company's innovation,
Okay.
but in a way that feels genuine and insightful.
So it's less about bragging about their accomplishments and more about sharing their insights and perspectives
Yes.
in a way that positions them as thought leaders in their field. Okay, I can see how that would build trust and credibility.
And it's not just about building trust with potential customers or investors.
Oh.
It's it's also about attracting top talent
Oh, okay.
who want to work with the best and brightest.
Makes sense. People are more likely to join a company if they feel inspired by the leadership and believe in the company's.
Right. And E-squared recognizes that a one-size-fits-all approach simply won't work for deep tech. They emphasize the importance of targeted content, meaning they create different types of content tailored to specific audience.
Could you give us an example of how that might work in practice?
Absolutely. Let's say you're a biotech startup
Okay.
developing a new gene therapy for a rare disease.
Okay.
For scientists and researchers, E-squared might create detailed white papers and research summaries that delve into the technical aspects of your work.
But for potential investors, they'd focus on the market opportunity, competitive landscape, and the potential return on investment.
Exactly.
So it's about speaking the language of each audience and tailoring the message to their specific interests and needs.
Yeah.
But what about the general public? How do you explain something as complex as gene therapy to someone who might not even know what a gene is?
That's where storytelling and visuals become incredibly important.
Yeah.
E-squared might use analogies to make complex topics more relatable.
Okay.
For example, they could compare gene therapy to reprogramming a faulty computer code in the body.
Gotcha.
They could also create infographics that break down the key points in a visually engaging way, or develop videos that show the technology in action and its real-world impact.
So it's about making the science understandable and even exciting for people who might not have a scientific background.
Precisely. They might even tell the stories of patients whose lives have been transformed by the technology,
Yeah.
highlighting the human impact alongside the scientific breakthroughs.
That's really powerful. It makes science feel more real and relatable.
Exactly.
It seems like E-squared is really trying to humanize deep tech.
Yeah.
Showing that there are real people behind these innovations who are passionate about making a difference.
And that human-centric approach is essential for building a strong brand and engaging a wider audience.
So it's not just about promoting the technology, it's about telling the story of the people behind it and the impact it can have on the world.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, deep tech often deals with very complex ideas.
They do.
Is it even possible to distill those down into easily digestible content for social media?
Well, that's...
I mean, how do you explain something like quantum computing in a 30-second TikTok?
That's a great question, and it's where E-squared's expertise really shines.
Okay.
They understand that you don't need to explain every single detail in a short-form video.
Yeah.
Instead, you can focus on sparking curiosity and generating interest.
So it's more about piquing people's interest and making them want to learn more?
Exactly. They might use a short video to highlight a mind-blowing application of quantum computing,
Okay.
leaving the viewer wanting to know more about how it actually works. They can then direct them to longer-form content, like a blog post or a video series, where they can delve deeper into the science.
So they're using social media as a gateway to more in-depth information.
Exactly.
That's a clever strategy. Use the quick hit to get attention and then provide a path for those who are truly interested to learn more.
And E-squared also understands that social media is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And they need to be adaptable.
What do you mean by that?
Well, new platforms emerge.
Right.
Algorithms change.
Okay.
Audience preferences shift.
Sure.
E-squared needs to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Constantly experimenting with new formats and strategies to ensure that their clients' messages are reaching the right people.
Okay.
For example, they might leverage the power of influencer marketing.
So connecting with key figures in the field who can help amplify their message?
Exactly.
But how do you find influencers who are both credible and have an audience that aligns with your target market?
That's where E-squared's deep understanding of the deep tech landscape comes. They can identify the key influencers in specific niches.
Yeah.
Whether it's academics, researchers, industry analysts, or even popular science communicators.
Okay.
The key is to find those who can authentically connect with the target audience and build trust.
So it's like they're building a network of advocates who can help spread the word about the company and its technology.
Exactly. And because E-squared specializes in deep tech, they're already plugged into these networks and understand how to leverage them effectively.
So they're not just creating content, they're also building relationship and fostering a sense of community around these deep tech companies.
Yes.
It's almost like they're creating an ecosystem that supports innovation.
That's a great way to put it. They're helping deep tech companies navigate the complex world of social media and build a strong online presence that drives real-world results.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges of explaining complex technology.
We have?
And the importance of targeted content.
Yeah.
But what about E-squared's overall philosophy? Do they have a specific approach to branding that's unique to deep tech companies?
Yes, they do. In their marketing kit, they use a really intriguing analogy to describe their approach.
Okay.
They compare it to a firework.
A firework?
Yes, I'd love to get get your take on this.
Okay, let's hear it. What's this firework analogy about?
They write, a firework is memorable because it's a fairy tale event stimulating all your senses. It's shining and colorful. It's noisy with the tempo. The wind brings to your nose the smell of gunpowder. Its shock waves propagated by the air vibrate on your skin.
Wow, that's quite a vivid description.
Yeah.
But how does that relate to marketing a deep tech company?
Well,
isn't that a little over the top? I mean, we're talking about science and technology, not a pyrotechnics display.
that's where it gets interesting. I think it speaks to the need for deep tech marketing to be attention-grabbing and memorable.
Okay.
You know, it's a crowded space.
Right.
And these companies need to stand out from the noise, just like a firework bursting across the night sky.
I see what you mean. It's about capturing people's imagination and making them take notice.
Right.
But couldn't that approach risk being seen as superficial or even gimmicky?
It could.
How do you balance the need to be attention-grabbing with the need to convey complex information in a credible way?
That's a crucial question. And I think E Squared addresses that by emphasizing the why behind the technology.
Okay.
They believe it's not enough to simply showcase the technical brilliance you need to connect with people on an emotional level.
Yeah.
And explain how this technology can make a difference in their life.
So it's about tapping into that human element and telling a story that resonates on an emotional level while also showcasing the scientific rigor behind it. For example, instead of just talking about the algorithms behind a new AI-powered medical diagnosis tool, they might tell the story of a patient whose life was saved because the technology detected their cancer early.
That's a good example.
Or if a company is developing sustainable energy solutions, they might paint a picture of a future where our planet is powered by clean, renewable energy.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about showcasing the human benefit behind the complex science.
Yes.
The reason why this technology matters.
Yes.
And why people should care.
Exactly. It's about weaving together the knowledge and the imagination to create a story that's both compelling and credible.
Okay, so far we've talked about thought leadership,
We have.
targeted content,
Yes.
and the importance of storytelling. But one thing that really caught my eye in E Squared's materials was their emphasis on a specific service,
Oh, what's that?
their premium LinkedIn Live interview service.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
This is where their deep understanding of both social media and deep tech really comes together.
I'm really curious about that. Why would a live interview format be particularly powerful for a tech company?
Well,
Wouldn't that be a tough sell considering the often complex and technical nature of the topics?
it might seem counterintuitive, but live interviews offer a unique opportunity to humanize complex topics and make them more accessible. Think about it. You're not just reading a dry research paper or watching a pre-recorded presentation.
Yeah.
You're witnessing experts in action, seeing their thought process and hearing them speak about their work with genuine passion.
So it's about adding that human touch, making the science feel less intimidating, and creating a more personal connection with the audience.
Exactly. And the live format allows for real-time interaction.
Okay.
Viewers can ask questions in the comments, making it a much more engaging experience.
It's like a virtual Q&A session.
Yeah.
Allowing for a direct dialogue between the experts and their audience.
Exactly.
I can see how that would be valuable for building trust and credibility.
And E Square doesn't just handle the live interview itself.
Ah.
They offer a whole package of services around it to maximize its impact.
Okay.
They help the client define the key messages and goals for the interview, handle pre-promotion, and even offer optional extras like public speaking coaching.
Wow. So they're really taking a holistic approach.
They are.
Making sure that the interview is well planned, well executed, and reaches the right audience. It's like they're creating a multifaceted campaign around a single live event.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
They're not just facilitating the conversation, they're helping their clients craft a compelling narrative that resonates with their target audience on LinkedIn.
Okay, so we've talked about thought leadership,
We have.
targeted content, the firework analogy, and the power of LinkedIn live interviews.
We have.
But there's one more element of E Squared's offerings that I wanted to touch on.
Okay, what's that?
Their branding services.
Yes, that's another crucial aspect. Yeah, especially in a field like deep tech,
Right?
where companies need to establish a strong identity that reflects their expertise and innovation.
So what sets E Squared's branding approach apart from what you might see from a more traditional? What's their specific focus when it comes to tech companies?
They go beyond just creating a logo and a website.
Okay.
They focus on helping the company define its core value and articulate how it wants to be perceived by the world. They help the company answer fundamental questions like, what makes you unique?
Right.
Why should people care about your technology?
Yeah.
What impact do you want to have on the world?
So it's about digging deeper and uncovering the essence of brand.
Yes.
The story that lies at the heart of the...
Exactly. E Squared helps these deep tech companies articulate their why, their unique contribution to the world,
Right. Right.
and then translate that into a brand identity that resonates with their target audience.
Okay.
They understand that a strong brand is essential for attracting the right talent, securing funding, and ultimately achieving their goals.
This has been incredibly insightful. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From the unique challenges of explaining complex technology to the importance of building a strong brand and connecting with the right audience.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating exploration of E-Squared's approach to deep tech marketing, and I think we're just scratching the surface.
Absolutely. But before we move on, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question to ponder. Think about a deep tech company that you find interesting.
Okay.
How do they use social media?
Yeah.
Do they effectively communicate their why?
Good question.
What stands out to you about their approach? We'll pick up this thread and explore it further in part 2 of our dive. Until then,
See you then. Welcome back to our deep dive into deep tech marketing. Before the break, you were asked to think about a deep tech company that you find interesting and consider how they present themselves online. Hopefully, our discussion about E-Squared's unique approach has given you a new lens for looking at those online presences.
It's amazing how much thought goes into crafting the right message, especially when you're dealing with a complex and potentially world-changing technology. It's not just about throwing up a website and hoping people will find it.
Right. Remember we were just talking about how E-Squared emphasizes showcasing the human side of these deep tech ventures. They encourage their clients to share the personal journeys of the founders and leaders, struggles, the triumph, and that unwavering belief in their vision. Back to deep tech you had. Do they do that?
It's interesting you bring that up because I was thinking about a company called Neuralink, Elon Musk's brain-computer interface company. Their technology is mind-blowing. They're developing implantable devices that could potentially allow people with paralysis to control computers and prosthetic limbs with their thoughts, but it's also a technology that raises a lot of concerns and even fear.
Neuralink is a perfect example of a company that needs to carefully navigate public perception. Their technology is both fascinating and frightening to many people. So how do they use social media?
They primarily use Twitter to share update research findings and even job. Elon Musk himself is very active on Twitter, and he often uses the platform to generate buzz around Neuralink's work. They even released a video showing a monkey playing a video game using a Neuralink implant.
That monkey video went viral. It was a brilliant example of using a visual story to capture people's imaginations and make complex technology seem more accessible.
Right, but at the same time, some people criticize it as being exploitative or misleading. It's a great example of how social media can be a double-edged sword. You can reach a massive audience, but you also open yourself up to intense scrutiny.
Absolutely, and it highlights the challenge of finding that balance between showcasing the potential benefits of a technology and addressing the legitimate concerns that people might have. It's not just about hyping the technology, it's about engaging in a genuine dialogue with the public.
It makes you wonder how E-Squared would advise a company like...
Well, remembering E-Squared's motto, knowledge plus imagination plus entrepreneurship equals innovation, I think they would emphasize the need to tell a nuanced story.
What do you mean by nuance?
I think they would encourage Neuralink to be transparent about the potential risks and challenges of their technology, while also highlighting the incredible potential benefits they might suggest, showcasing the stories of people with paralysis who are eager to participate in clinical trials and potentially regain lost function.
So it's about acknowledging the complexity of the issue, not shying away from the tough questions, and presenting a balanced perspective. Don't just show the monkey playing Pong, also show the scientists rigorously testing the technology and grappling with the ethical implications.
Exactly. It's about building trust by being honest and open, even when dealing with a technology that could fundamentally change what it means to be human.
I like how you put that, change what it means to be human. Deep tech has the potential to do just that, to reshape our world in ways we can barely imagine.
And that brings us back to E-Squared's core philosophy. It's not enough to simply develop these incredible technologies you have to inspire people with the possibilities, and that requires effective communication.
It's like what we were discussing earlier about how deep tech marketing is about building a movement. It's not just about selling a product. It's about getting people excited about a shared vision.
I think that's a crucial insight. These companies are asking people to believe in a future that doesn't quite exist yet.
It's about selling the dream, but in a credible way that's rooted in scientific reality. It's like they're saying, come join us on this journey. It might be challenging, it might be scary at times, but it will be incredible.
It's like the early days of space exploration. A lot of people didn't see the point in going to the moon, but visionaries like John F. Kennedy inspired people to dream bigger. And ultimately, that shared vision led to one of humanity's greatest achievements.
That's a great analogy. Deep tech companies need to be the modern-day John F. Kennedy, painting a picture of a future that's worth striving for, and social media is their launchpad.
Right. It's how they connect with those early adopters, those who are willing to take a leap of faith and believe in the power of innovation to create a better world.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of storytelling, visual communication, and building a movement, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts on E's firework analogy? Do you think it's a helpful way way to think about deep tech marketing. I still have some reservations about it.
I think it's a provocative analogy. Right. And like any analogy, it has its limitations. On the one hand, it captures the need for deep tech marketing to be attention-grabbing and memorable in a crowded space. But on the other hand, it could be interpreted as suggesting that style is more important than substance.
Right, and I think that's where it's important to remember that E emphasizes the importance of the why. The firework is just the initial spark that gets people's attention. But what keeps them engaged is the story behind the technology, the problem it solves, the impact it has, and the people who are driving forward.
I agree. It's about finding that balance between capturing the imagination and conveying the substance. And honestly, that's a challenge that all marketers face, not just those in the deep tech space.
True, but it seems particularly crucial in deep tech, where the stakes are so high. We're talking about technologies that could potentially cure diseases, solve climate change, or even enhance human capability. These aren't just products. They're potential solutions to some of humanity's biggest problems.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the importance of building trust and credibility. People need to believe that these companies are not just hype machines. They're driven by a genuine desire to make a difference.
And that's where E's focus on thought leadership and targeted content comes. It's about demonstrating expertise, backing up claims with evidence, and engaging in a genuine dialogue with the public.
It's about showing, not just telling, it's about letting the science speak for itself, but in a way that's accessible and engaging.
And it's about remembering that social media is not just a platform for broadcasting messages. It's a tool for building relationships, fostering community, and ultimately driving real-world impact. So as we continue our exploration of tech marketing, let's keep those ideas in mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore some specific tactics and strategies that deep tech companies can use to achieve those goals. But first, we want to hear from you.
Right. We've been talking about Neuralink, but what about the deep tech company you had at eye? How do they use social media? What are they doing well? What could they do better? Join the conversation in the comments below and share your insight. We'll be back soon to continue this fascinating. And we are back for the final part of this deep dive, all about deep tech marketing E-squared.
They've got some really interesting ideas.
They really do. And we've been talking about a lot, conveying complex information in an engaging way.
Right.
But there's this one element of storytelling that E-squared highlights that I wanted to explore a little bit further.
Okay, what's that?
The power of visual communication.
Oh, visuals.
Yeah, they really emphasize that, a picture can be worth 1,000 words.
Of course.
Especially in this space.
Absolutely. I mean, in a world that's just overflowing with information, visuals cut through the noise.
Yeah.
Think about it. Even those of us who love to geek out on deep tech, we're still visual creatures at heart.
For sure. So how can a deep tech company actually use visuals to tell their story?
Wow.
Are we talking beyond just slapping a cool graphic on an Instagram post?
Yeah, it goes way deeper than that.
Okay.
E-squared suggests using all sorts of visual tools.
Okay.
From infographics that break down complex data into digestible chunks.
Yeah.
To animations that bring scientific processes to life.
Right.
They even talk about using virtual reality to immerse people in the world of deep tech.
VR, that's next level stuff. But thinking practically, wouldn't creating that kind of content be super expensive and time consuming for a startup that's probably already strapped for resources?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
But E-squared's point is that you don't necessarily need to go all out with the most cutting-edge technology. Even simple visuals can be extremely effective. For example, instead of just describing a new material they've developed, a company could show a short video of it being tested for strength or flexibility. Or they could create a simple infographic comparing their new battery technology to existing options, highlighting the improvements in a way that's easy to understand.
Right, so it's about choosing the right visual tool for the message and the platform.
Yes.
A short, punchy video might work great on TikTok, while a detailed infographic might be better suited for LinkedIn.
Exactly. It's about being strategic and thinking about how to best capture people's attention and convey complex information in a visually compelling way.
Yeah, and it's not just about appealing to our logical minds.
No.
It's also about tapping into the emotional power of image.
Absolutely, that's so true. A powerful image can stay with you long after you've scrolled past. It can evoke a feeling of awe, wonder, excitement, even a sense of urgency. Think about the iconic pale blue dot photograph of Earth, taken by Voyager 1 from billions of miles away. That single image sparked a sense of wonder and fragility about our planet that words alone could never quite capture.
Wow.
Deep tech companies can harness that same power of imagery to connect with their audience on a visceral level.
I'm starting to understand why E-squared calls it visual storytelling.
Yeah.
It's about using visuals to create a narrative that engages people on both an intellectual and an emotional level.
Exactly.
It's about making the science feel real, relatable, and even inspiring.
And it's not just about attracting new audiences.
Right.
It's also about building a community around a shared vision for the future.
Which is something we've touched on a lot throughout this deep dive.
Yeah.
Social media isn't just a broadcast.
No.
It's a platform for connection and collaboration.
Right. E-Squared encourages deep tech companies to create dedicated online communities.
Yeah.
Where people can come together to discuss the latest advancements, share ideas, and support each other.
It's about fostering a sense of belonging and shared purpose, a place where people feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
It's about moving from, look what we've done, to let's build the future together.
I love that. And these communities can become invaluable assets for deep tech companies.
How so?
Well, they can provide a testing ground for new ideas, a source of valuable feedback, and even a pipeline for recruiting top talent.
Right. So it's like turning customers into fans, investors into partners, and employees into evangelists.
Exactly. It's the power of authentic connections and shared enthusiasm. And this approach is especially important for deep tech companies because they're often working on long-term complex challenges that require sustained support and investment.
It's not like developing the next viral app where you can achieve overnight success.
No.
Deep tech requires patience, persistence, and a community of believers who are willing to be in it for the long haul.
Right. It's like building a rocket to Mars. It's a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar endeavor that requires the collaboration of countless brilliant minds and the support of a nation.
That's a great analogy, and social media is the mission control,
Right.
the place where all the different teams can communicate, coordinate, and inspire each other to keep pushing towards the ultimate goal.
Exactly. And the beauty of social media is that it allows even small startups to connect with a global audience and build a community that extends far beyond their physical location.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I
Yeah.
want to leave our listener with one final thought.
Okay.
We've explored a lot of different strategies.
We have.
But ultimately, I think the most important thing for deep tech companies is to stay true to their why.
Their purpose, their mission, the reason they get up in the morning and do this incredibly challenging work.
Exactly, because when that why is clear and compelling,
Right.
it shines through in everything they do. It informs their decisions, shapes their communication, and inspires others to believe in their vision.
And that belief is contagious. It can spark a movement, ignite a revolution, and ultimately lead to a brighter future for all of us.
So to all the deep tech pioneers out there, we say, dream big, build with purpose, and share your story with the world. And who knows, maybe your innovation will be the next firework to light up the sky and change the course of human history.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of deep tech marketing. We hope you've enjoyed this journey and found some valuable insights along the way.
We'll see you on our next deep dive.